guys, I'm E-House.
I'm Andre.
Welcome to another episode of SpeedSim. And today we are talking about why you should have one of these or some type of sighting system on your rifle or pistol or shotgun or laser weapon or super amazing finger guns that you have zeroed.
Or any airsoft gat.
Yes, if you have an airsoft gun, you should have a sighting system that is zeroed. And we're going to tell you why. All right, Andre, so why don't you start off telling us why you love sights?
Well, first off, I love sights. I love sights. I always ran them on my rifle. I never used iron sights or nothing at all. I've always had some sort of sighting system, more or less just a red dot, and I've always had it sighted in, and it was always on point. And the reason being is because there's nothing more that I hate than coming around a building or coming out of cover and then just lighting up and trying to trail the BBs, where when I point a red dot at somebody, it goes where it needs to. And that's primarily why I have red dots on pretty much everything. Some builds might not have a red dot on some pistols because they just don't look right or they're kind of goofy. But on a rifle, I generally always have a red dot or something that has a dot that I can sight in, because again, there's nothing worse than having to come around a building or popping up from a bunker and having no sighting system and just trying to trail your BBs. I find that really crappy.
So, would you say that it's slower and you like it because it's more speedy?
Yes.
That was my dad joke for the video. You're welcome.
So, continuing on after that terrible dad joke, I hear all too often on the airsoft field people talking about their red dots, hollow sights, T1s, anything that's replica and it's real steel or they've seen in a video game, and they just say that it's just for looks and it doesn't do anything. I always try to correct it whenever I hear something, because I always, whether it be my pistol has a red dot or a rifle, I always try to correct them, be like, have you ever tried sighting it in? Because it really is advantageous when you do have it correctly sighted in.
And you only have to do it once usually.
Yeah.
If you have a good red dot and you zero it once, I mean, even if you drop it or something, you should always have that sighting picture on point. Mm-hmm. So take the time once, zero it in, and try running it. I bet you'll like what you find.
Yep. If you're having trouble sighting it in or it's just not going where you want, try cleaning out your barrel. Sometimes that's the problem. Or it just could be your hop-up not adjusted correctly. And
or even try different BBs sometimes.
Or, yeah, BBs is also, twos are, they're all right for what you get. But again, with the wind, and if you especially play a lot of outdoors, it can be travel a little bit, so you got to be weird about that. You can maybe try to push up to 2.5s if you're feeling adventurous.
Or 2.8s if you're like me and you just like heavy things.
Right.
Like metal!
Oh, God. So, but yeah, those are just a couple of things that you keep in mind if it's not sighting in properly. But again, like Eric said, just sight it in once and you're ready to roll.
Yeah, and same thing Andre said. That's why I like my rifle red dots, and with pistols I usually have just iron sights, but even with the iron sights, usually you can slot them and move them a little bit and keep them zeroed.
Absolutely.
Because if you have those zeroed sights, that's always going to be faster than trying to walk your rounds on target. Because, let me use an example for you. You pull up a rifle and you take 2 shots that miss and your 3rd shot hits, versus you pull up your rifle and you take 1 shot that hits. Which one is always going to be faster? That 1 shot that hits. Now, there are some schools of thought that will teach point shooting for very close range shooting, but most engagements on the airsoft field will benefit from some sort of sighting system. And, if you're playing and you say, I've never used sights and I've been just fine. I'm just saying, I bet if you tried out a good set of sights, you'd do even better.
And if you don't have a sight, or you're kind of on the fence of picking up a sight, and your friend has one, try your friends out and see if you like that kind of sighting system, or try to make some friends on the airsoft field if you're newer to the game. See if they would let you to just shoot your or that person's gun on the shooting range, so you can get a feel of how it actually feels like when it's sighted in properly.
And then the other thing that works well too is if you're the type of person who does some practice, or you're like plinking around with your airsoft guns, experiment with different sighting mechanisms, experiment with different riser setups, and look at what you can get that gets you the best cheek weld, that rolls up naturally as you bring your rifle up, or punches out naturally as you have your pistol. Look at, maybe considering some co-witness with your iron sights, because then you'll have a backup sighting system if this goes down. Kind of switching gears, I just want to mention too that I just came back from a Milsim West event. And let me tell you something. when you go to big events, and I'm sure this is the same with a Speed QB tournament, I've never been to one personally, but you're gonna win based on the gunfights are gonna win based on who gets the first hit. And that's what airsoft is. Who hits who first. And everything you can do to up that speed and accuracy that is going to get you that hit, and that hit first is going to help you win the gunfight. So I was at a subway and I was having to engage multiple angles, and that was a lot faster and easier for me because I had a red dot. And that's another thing to consider is in low light conditions, having a powered optic or even a fiber optic like you have on some of your pistols that'll gather ambient light, having a powered optic that you can use easily with both eyes open in low light conditions is going to help you take the best advantage of your surroundings and is going to help you basically outdo your circumstances, because low light fighting sucks, but sometimes you got to do it. So definitely consider that. And a flashlight's probably not a bad idea either in some capacities. We'll have an episode on those later, I bet.
So, taking from what Eric just said, with different sighting systems, this is more correlates with pistols. It can kind of correlate with rifles, but more on the lines of pistols. One of our mutual friends has a hard time sighting down on his pistol with a T1. He did try my Seymour sight, and he found that he found that more easier for him to sight down on his pistol than his T1, because it's so narrow, and he kind of has to find that dot with a reflex sight. It's a lot easier to find because you don't have to look through anything. You just kind of find that dot, and it helps especially when you sight down your irons first and kind of just lift your eyes up a little bit, and that red dot is right there. And that's ideally what you're going to be looking for.
And that's also why I run a fixed front post on my rifles with my sighting mechanisms as much as possible, because you can almost acquire that front sight as you bring the rifle up and then find the dot if you're finding yourself struggling with finding that dot. Now, after some practice and after a while, and especially with certain rifles, they'll roll naturally into each other, but definitely with pistols, finding the sights first, then acquiring the dot is taught in a lot of real firearms communities, because that works.
It's proven, and it works every single time. I do it just when I practice at home and sit in front of the TV. I pull out my gun, pull it out, and put it back. I can find that dot every single time, and it just helps that repetition, that muscle memory.
Exactly. Practice at home.
It's not lame.
Yep. Just dry practice. Make sure the gun's unloaded, you're safe and not doing anything stupid. Dry practice. Look up some methodologies for that. It's another real steel thing that carries over very well to airsoft, so do it up. So I guess that's about it. Okay. We've got the reason we love having nice sighted in optics of some sort, or even fiber optics or good iron sight, something that's going to help you get a good reference on your target, and ideally a good reference on your target in a variety of conditions.
All right, guys, this has been another episode of SpeedSim. Once again, my name is Andre.
And I'm E-House.
And thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.
Metal!
We had such a good